SourKidsProductions.
Welcome to the Cancel Show. I am Lupe Chavez.
And I'm Manny Lerma.
And today we have a special guest. We got the man, the legend, the
myth.
big bad king of the North.
Hey.
Yeah, I
Coast.
am Coast.
Okay, what's up, big homie?
What's happening?
What's up,
thank
man?
you for coming on the show, man.
I mean, yeah. You say thank you. I feel like y'all forced me to be here. Nah,
You were like, ya que chingados. I was on my
Like,
way out.
I'm already here, bro. Like, I might as well.
Nah. Yeah, no. Appreciate y'all having me, though. It's cool.
Nah, man, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. And where you guys are tuning in, man, thank you también. Wherever you guys are listening.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
He's like,
Yep.
yeah. He's like, sure, whatever. All right, man. So, fucking Coast. I never thought I would meet you, but here we are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Big fan of yours. Been listening to you since Murderholics.
Yeah,
Screens
man.
Falling, you know, album after album.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're probably one of the only artists that I can... Well, you're probably one of the first artists that I can say that I heard that would rap and sing at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you...
Yeah, I incorporated that way early on.
Yeah,
Murderholics.
Murderholics. You did it on that one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was the first time anybody had ever heard me, like, on an actual project that was released somewhere. Outside of that, like, I was selling tapes or whatever in my neighborhood. But that song, Murderholics, was like my first appearance, basically.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first time I came out on anything.
Because he sent me, like, he goes, hey, bro, you've heard of him before. And I said, nah, like, I didn't know, right off the back, I didn't know the name.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he sent me the song, I said, bro, I fucking was jamming to this growing up.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, I was shocked for real.
I've been doing it for a good little while, man.
Yeah,
Good little while. But yeah, but like you said, even back then, I was singing on stuff, rapping and singing.
Yeah, because you never really heard that in just rap in general, you know? And then for a Mexican to be doing it,
Yeah.
it was just really unheard of. But he floated so well that it fit with any style.
Yeah.
Like, you would hear him on songs with everybody at Dope House, and he would just fit perfectly.
Exactly.
So, like, what made you have that style of just being that kind of rapper?
Man, so before I ever started rapping, I like to sing. You know what I'm saying? Like, even as a little kid in elementary school, in music class, I was like one of the better singers in the class. And when the school would have like these assemblies or whatever, they would give me a solo. So I always liked to sing. But then growing up, you know, as I got older, I didn't really like singing music. I like rap music. So I'm like, man, I want to start rapping. So I kind of got away from singing, started writing my own raps. But even then, once I got good enough with rapping, I just started incorporating singing into it. It's like it was already ingrained in me since a child to want to sing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was like, shit, don't nobody sound like this. So I just took it, ran with it, started singing on stuff. And, you know, everything was always a learning process. Like I said, that was the first time I ever appeared on a project that was put out to the masses. Singing on that, for me, was like, there was a learning curve to it. It's like, man, what will people think of this? Because I was singing to myself in the car or at the crib all day. And it don't make no difference because who's hearing me? You know what I mean? But now this is like, okay, wait.
Everybody
finna hear me. Yeah. So that initial song, putting that out there like that, and then the response that it got, the people liked it so much, that gave me so much more comfort. And it gave me the sense of freedom to feel like this identity that I'm coming up with, this sound that I'm coming up with for myself is something that I can really explore, something that I can build upon. I don't have to take anything away from it. I don't have to go back to the drawing board. If anything, I just need to reinforce this. So I just kept doing it, kept learning the different caveats of how to do harmonies and sing background on my own songs. You know what I mean? Do all that type of stuff. Teaching myself how to do that. And then shit, as the years progressed, I just, something that I became known for, something that I always do, still do to this day.
So it's self-taught then.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's crazy, bro. That just shows you that when you really want it, you gotta just put your mind to it, man.
Yep.
Dang.
So interesting thing that I saw about you is that nobody was sounding like you. You know, especially Mexican rappers in general. None of them, all the Mexican rappers were, it was either like a grim sound,
Right.
a SPM sound, or a lucky sound.
Right.
There was nobody that was sounding like you.
Yeah.
So did you ever get like any shit in general just because you didn't sound Houston or like?
Yeah.
Because Houston rappers have this certain, sound to them.
Yeah. I mean, for a good while, you say that if to you it felt like it sounded like I fit in with the other artists on Dope House, and that is true, but it's something that I had to kind of gear myself into that direction. Like, in a sense, I had to appease them.
Yeah.
Instead of just jumping out there and doing exactly what I wanted to do on a song. Like, I had to be like, all right, how can I fit myself into this? But as far as making my own stuff, whereas nobody's featured on it, it's just me making music, and how people reacted to that, for the longest, it was like, you don't sound like these other, because I'm from the north side of Houston.
Yeah.
So, like, the biggest artist on the north side of Houston, Slim Thug. You don't sound like Slim Thug. You don't sound like Chameleon. You don't sound like Paul Wall. You don't sound like so-and-so. But that was never the idea. Like, who says because you're from a specific area, you have to sound like how they sound?
Right.
That's putting yourself in a box, or allowing somebody to put you in a box. Like, man, don't hold it against me because I don't sound like what you're used to hearing. You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to hear Slim Thug, listen to Slim Thug.
Yeah.
Don't listen to my, remakes of his songs. I don't want to be like some guy that's just mimicking what everybody else does. I'm not here to follow no trend. And then what happens when the trend fades away? Right. I do too? Nah, I'm cool.
Yeah, you kept it to you. You kept your style to yourself. Yeah, how you wanted to do it.
I keep my own identity, do things the way I want to do them. Like I said, I'll finesse things to where my sound might fit better with somebody. But ultimately, when it comes to me doing my own thing for my own purposes, I don't gotta shift or do nothing for nobody. I just sound like what I want to sound like. And if you don't think it sounds like this area, okay, what do we do with this information? Who cares? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is me.
Like, if you like it, you like it.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's
don't
cool.
listen to it. You good?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's dope. So, another thing I wanted to know is, like, I heard that, like, whenever you did a Screens Falling with SPM, he already had a whole different verse written for it until you came in, right?
Yeah, it was like a completely different song. I mean, the beat was the beat. It's always been that one. But, okay, so the story goes, Carlos was at the studio in Houston. It's called Digital Services. They're still around. But it's a high dollar studio. Like, you got to put down some money to go record there. And Carlos was so big of an artist that what normal people would consider this being a large amount of money to record there, he was wasteful with it. Like, he would go up there to the studio, sit on a couch and take a nap. Fall asleep. Yeah. Like, that would be his little getaway.
I'm going to go to the studio.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the studio and sleep.
Yeah.
So, on this particular day, Carlos was at the studio. He was working on a song, and he wanted this other artist to go up there named Uchi. And Uchi was with us hanging out at the Dope House. So he was like, hey, can somebody give Uchi a ride over here? So we all hop in the car. We go down to Digital Services Studios. We walk inside. We walk into Carlos's room, and he's laid out on the floor like a little kid coloring with crayons in the coloring book.
Yeah.
He's laying on the floor like that, but he's writing rhymes. He's writing to this beat, and he'd already recorded some vocals. I think he was working on like maybe a second or third verse at this point. And we walk in, and he called for Uchi, but he wasn't expecting anybody else to show up. Well, I mean, I'm sure he expected somebody to bring him, but he didn't know who was coming.
Yeah.
So I walked in, and he saw me, and he was like, "Hey, what you think about this beat?" I was like, it's cool. I like it. He's like, "Yeah, you want to put something on it?" I was like, "All right, I'll write something." So I sat there, and I wrote something. About 30, 45 minutes, I was ready to record. And that studio had a ping pong table in their lobby. We had a ping pong table at the Dope House too. And so everybody at Dope House was very competitive at ping pong.
Really?
Yeah.
I can only imagine Low G over there.
Yeah. So
playing competitive ping pong.
while I'm recording my verse, Carlos steps out and he's in the lobby playing ping pong with somebody. He's not hearing what I'm doing. I finish and he comes back in and hears my verse. And he said, that song is the better song than what I was doing. He told the engineer, scrap everything I already recorded, and he started writing new stuff just based off of what I was writing. And yeah, that's how Screens Falling came.
How did that feel to hear Carlos be like, this is better? Like,
yeah,
you know?
that was the first song I ever recorded with him. So for me, that was mind-blowing. But also at the same time, it was confirmation. Because back then, I was I was probably like 18, 19 years old, a young kid with an ego.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm already thinking I'm the shit. And that was just confirmation to me.
You're like, I'm fucking good.
Yeah.
Best.
For me, like I would walk around thinking I was better than everybody, including him. Like I would hear whoever's stuff. It could be Carlos's stuff, or it could be somebody I never met before. I got no ties to. I'll just hate on it because my ego is that big. I'll just hate on it.
But also, you kind of have to like have that for your rhyming skills, just in general.
Right? Yeah. No, it's absolutely something that'll fuel you further to have that mentality. Not to say that it's right.
Yeah.
Now looking back in retrospect, that was stupid
like, man,
to
maybe
be
I
that
shouldn't
way.
act
Yeah,
like
I was
that,
like
yeah.
so full of shit. You know what I'm saying? But in that instance, like I said, it was confirmation because I was already feeling that way, and for him to have that reaction and to say that and to actually implement that, I was just beside myself. Like, this is literally crazy for this to happen this way.
So how was that whole Dope House experience that
I was
you
about
had?
to say that. Yeah.
Like, how
Man.
was it working with that group of guys that are legends right now? You know, like all of those guys are just legendary everywhere. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. When I came along, the legends were already the legends.
Yeah, they were already set.
Yeah, I wasn't. So, in a sense, the Dope House was divided, right? You had the people up there that were already who they were, and they kind of get seniority over what everything that's happening. Outside of that, you have these other small little cliques in the building that want to get to that level, but are not being seen in that light, right? And that's where I am. I go to the Dope House and don't nobody know who I am. I see Lil G or whoever walking by. I'm like, dang, there goes so-and-so. They don't know me. So I kind of get pushed into one of the little cliques off to the side. And it's from that point, I have to prove myself. I have to first prove myself in this little clique to be able to rise out of that to where everybody else will take notice to what I'm doing. And so that's what I had to do. So the majority of my experience up there was really just fighting to be heard.
A constant grind.
Yeah, because the dope house was pretty much open to the public. It wasn't no sign saying come on in or nothing like that.
People were coming on in.
But yeah, a lot of people would come in and nobody got turned away. You know what I'm saying? If you a rapper or whatever, hey, this is a place to hang out.
Really?
Somebody might ask you to get on something. It wasn't advertised that way, so only a small amount of people would actually find themselves there. But that's where I was. I was in that position to where I got to prove myself for anybody to take notice. And so for like 2 years, I was up there every day, just
waiting for that chance.
Yeah, just a Sunday through the week. I was there every day, rapping, getting on anything. And it took like 2 years before anybody actually, when I say anybody, it took like 2 years before somebody in the higher spectrum was like, that guy. Bring him in.
At least it wasn't ran like Suge Knights, man. Like where like if you rap and they didn't like it, they will beat your ass.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't like that. It was a lot of love up there. Like even like say for instance, Lil G or Rashid or whoever. Rashid was one of the first people that showed me love. Not even because he liked the way I rapped. Like that came second. He showed me love just because he's a good person.
That's what I've heard about Rashid. People that have met him, that he's real genuine. He's like a real good dude.
Yeah, and Lil G the same thing. You know, like most people up there were that way. You know, wasn't nobody trying to spit on what you're trying to do or nothing like that. If they're not feeling you, they're not feeling you. That's cool. We go play ping pong.
Yeah.
I ain't gotta like your reps. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's what's up. I mean, that's our follow-up question.
And that's just how it was. But for me, it was more of a competitive aspect of it, and my ego. Like I'm gonna show all y'all that I can rap.
Are you more humble now though? Like, are you like?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I say all this because I think back on it, and it's almost embarrassing to think. But yet, as an adult, I understand what my immature mind, where it was, why I was thinking that way.
Right.
And as an adult, for me to see other artists that do that now, I get it. I understand why.
Yeah.
So, where a younger me might want to compete with that person, now I'm like, you whatever you're doing, hey man, have fun with that. Keep doing it if you want. Maybe you might find yourself later in life though coming to the same conclusion that I'm at.
It's because also too, I think younger you was still real hood you. You know, like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was going up to the dope house every day. The only time I would ever leave my neighborhood as a kid was when I would go to school. The school bus would take me. And this is leaving my neighborhood to go 3 exits down the freeway to get to school. Outside of that, I'm in my neighborhood just all the time. Yeah, I'm not leaving. But now I graduated from school and I'm starting to go to the dope house every single day. I come back home to the neighborhood and I'm telling people these stories about what we were doing the night before up there, and they were like, you lying, you tripping, yeah? Lil G wasn't up there cracking jokes or nothing. I'm like, okay.
you don't know him.
Yeah, like, okay, you don't believe me.
Man, here you go again with these lies, bro.
Mm-hmm.
No los lies.
Stop fronting, bro. Stop fronting.
What is one of the craziest experience or at the studio? Because I think that's
crazy experience at the studio.
Was there like fights or?
I mean, it wasn't uncommon for like crazy stuff to happen. Fights, cops coming through. I don't know. I feel like all of that is regular stuff. But I will say this. There was a guy at the dope house. He was a homeless guy.
Yeah.
But he lived there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. and
Like inside of the house or like outside? And
inside,
oh, inside,
in the
okay.
warehouse, he lived there. Like there was a small little closet space. If you go into that door and then crawl up to like where the ceiling tiles and stuff were, he had a little bed up there.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and he lived there.
And they just let him stay there.
They let him stay there because ultimately he was providing watch. Even if nobody else was there,
Somebody
he was occupying it. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody was there.
Yeah.
So, and this dude, all right, he was a homeless guy. He didn't care about nothing we was doing. He don't know what Dope House is. He don't know how big it was or how far the reach of it was. He was just happy that he had a place to stay.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He can come and go as he pleased. Didn't
He's
matter.
like, I got to deal with all these loud ass people, but it's
yeah,
good. It's good.
his music is loud, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? And like anytime somebody was drinking, he'll walk up with his cup. Like, you want to pour me up? Anytime somebody was smoking, if they're in a circle, he'll kind of just like ease his way into that circle. You know what I'm saying? And he was known for that. It's like anytime like hood stuff like that was going on, this guy would just magically pop up.
Magical homeless guy.
He's like, oh shit, they got the liquor. Let me go down there real quick.
And so it became like internally, it was like this thing. Like we knew if somebody was to do this, he would show up. It's like an equation. 1 + 1 = 2. We knew he would show up.
Yeah.
But then it got weird because we start touring, and of course this homeless dude is back at the warehouse keeping it occupied. But tell me why we're out on the road in a completely different state, and this dude like shimmies up next to us.
You're like, what the fuck?
Like, what's up?
Oh, hell
Yeah,
no.
we're like, how did you get here? We didn't bring you.
Were you
Who's
just
watching the warehouse?
Yeah.
Were you guys like, oh my, this what the fuck I put in this shit?
Yeah, like this dude would just magically appear, bro.
Yeah, no.
Hey, you like the joint? That food just pops out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
I would have just stopped smoking. I'm like, this is for me.
He would show up at the craziest places. That was wild.
hey man, that's what he just made y'all think he was broke. He's probably rich as fuck and just showing up wherever you guys are.
Yeah, I know, right? He probably got all our publishing.
There you go.
He was back there. Oh yeah, they think they writing something dope, huh? I'm gonna.
Hey, he goes in there, puts his name on there.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Let me get some royalties.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work in music? Like, whenever they ask you, hey, do this song for me, you know? Or, hey, I want you to be on a song with me. Like, do you get something off of what that song makes, or do they pay you off right off the bat and they keep everything that song makes?
Well, when we get into, like, the larger scale things where it's, like, projects that are nationally distributed, you know, these people got budgets behind them, they got power behind them. Then we talk about royalties, and we talk about splits and all of that stuff. But more common than that, you know, when we're just talking about doing something for the dude that's making noise in his city, he wants me to get on a song with him. That's like all under the table type stuff. Like, hey man, this is what I charge. It's a flat fee. You know, whatever becomes of the song, I hope it does great. And if it don't, I got mine. Hopefully you make that back. If you don't, ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah, that's all on you. That's all
I'm saying.
Pushing your album.
This is what I'm asking from you. Just give me this, and I'll give you my verse. After that, do what you will. And that's the most common thing, though. You know what I mean? Because everybody's a rapper, and everybody wants to work with the people that they came up listening to. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of instances, I get that call. Like, hey, jump on this track. I always wanted to do something with you. So, yeah, that's a bet. I'll do it. This is what I charge, though. Just hook that up, and, I got you. And after that.
So what if I was like, hey, Coast, we're trying to do a theme song. How much you going to charge us to record a theme song for us, bro?
Yeah, same exact thing. It's
Yeah,
like, especially,
like, we'll discuss this after the
especially
show.
like that, because there's no splits to be made there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're finna take the theme song and push it as a single that's gonna propel your project or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's especially one of those scenarios where it's like, just give me this and I do it.
I'll just take this.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Okay, we'll
You
talk
can
later.
send me a message later. I want to know the price.
All right on.
Could you say the price on the thing, or you can't? It's
It changes.
oh.
Yeah, I could tell you now, and then tomorrow it might be different. Yeah,
Just so you know we're broke.
it's like stocks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, did I just put a project out?
Yeah.
Then it's going up.
Like
Has
like
it been a
Fat
while
Joe
since I put
says-
something out? Yeah, I'll give you the hookup price then.
I
You
got
know what I'm
you.
saying?
Like Fat Joe says, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Well, let me ask you this, man. The way rap is now, como era antes, are you like a fan of this new rap? You know, the way it's going now.
No, but that's not to say I don't like it. I'll just say I don't listen to it, so I can't really assess whether or not I like it.
Right.
In my ordinary day-to-day life, I'm not listening to rap. I don't listen to rap. I listen to mostly R&B.
Really?
Yeah. So whoever is the most popping rapper, even coming out of my city, whoever's the most popping underground artist, I probably heard their name before. I have no idea what they sound like. Like you could play me his music and be like, I know you heard this. No, I haven't. I literally don't listen to that. You know what I'm saying? So, and like I said, that's not to say I don't like it, because I might if I gave it a chance.
Right.
It's just ordinarily I'm listening to R&B music. That's what I prefer.
Really?
So I heard that you're a fan of love songs, like just in general writing love songs.
Yeah.
That's what you do. That's what you've always done.
When left to my own devices, that's what I would prefer to do. It's like when I go into the studio, even if that's not the final outcome, that's where my mind goes first. It's like I put the track on and I start, like, I don't know, singing little ideas of what the song is going to be about. And the first thing I'm starting to sing is like love songs. But somewhere down the line, that might change. Like I might think, oh, you know what? Nah, this would be a dope little angle to take this song if I was to talk about this instead. But it always starts with that vibe of I want to just go in and make a love song.
But is it like the old school R&B or the new one? Because I mean, if you notice, like all of them are all gangstered out now. The R&B singers nowadays, like they're all thugged out. So compared to like Tyrese, I think the only one that keeps it R&B, in my opinion, is Tyrese.
Well, I tell you, one of my favorite R&B groups of all time is Jodeci, right?
Jodeci.
And so Jodeci
was gangster.
Jodeci was like one of P. Diddy's first brainchild projects, where at first Boyz II Men was all the craze, and Diddy wanted to do a R&B group that was like the exact opposite of Boyz II Men. Boyz II Men were all like buttoned up and
pretty boys,
looking proper and shit. Yeah. So he made Jodeci just look thugged out, gangster. You know what I'm saying? Wife beaters and gold chains and hats backwards and this and that.
Jodeci looked like a rap group out of New York.
Yep. And that's my all-time favorite R&B group is Jodeci. So that's just to say that it's not a far stretch from what people do now. Like now, like the message is a little different. Like Jodeci, they had an image, but as far as the content of their music, it was, just straight like, "Ooh, girl, I'm crazy about you," this and that. Whereas R&B now, the dudes be like, "Oh, girl, I'll fuck the shit out of you," this and that. You know what I'm saying? Jodeci wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it got more graphic now.
Yeah. As far as the content of the music, it's changed in that sense. But I like that too.
Really?
Yeah, I like both sides of it. Both sides of the spectrum. I dig that.
I think you're a fan of the melodies and just how
really
it all
am.
sounds together.
I really am. Like a lot of times, even if I don't like the artist, I'll educate myself on their process. Like I had, there was a time where I was just fixated on Will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh yeah,
I don't really like will.i.am's music like that, right? Like
yeah. I can
it's
see
I don't think
very commercial music,
yeah.
like the Fergie stuff and all of that. Very commercial.
Yeah.
That's not really where I want to be, but studying him, how he put music together. See, a lot of artists will fall into this never-ending loop of when they create songs, they know they're supposed to have hooks and they're supposed to have verses.
Right.
And so majority of them will just go hook, verse, hook, verse, hook, verse, faded out, song's over.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas somebody like will.i.am would throw all kinds of weird changes in
Yeah.
his music. Like after the hook, it wouldn't come another verse right away. It would be like something completely different added in there, and then followed by something completely different after that.
Right.
Then you might get the next verse. Then you might get the hook. Then it might go somewhere else again.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. While even though I didn't think the music was jamming for me,
Right.
just his concepts of how he approached stuff like that was more valuable than just me sitting back putting on something to listen to.
Right.
what will.i.am had was that he was more of a get your attention kind of guy.
Mm.
Because he would put together something that was so fucking catchy that people would listen to it.
That's what it is.
And at the end of the day, like I didn't like anything that Black Eyed Peas really did.
Right.
It just didn't get my attention. But when you hear it and the way it sounds, it's just so fucking catchy that even if you don't like it, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
And even when it comes on, you'll know what it is because you've heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so fucking catchy that it just sticks in your fucking head. And I fucking hate it for that. Every time I hear my hump, I'm like, fuck this song. But I know it.
Yeah.
He
Because
was
I've heard
singing
it.
He was the my hump, my hump, my hump.
I sing it from time to time. But like I said, I don't like it, but it's just
Yeah.
that you hear it so much that it's just,
Yeah, no, and I'm the same way. But for me, it wasn't about whether or not I like it. It was just trying to get these ideas of how to piece songs together that was outside of what everybody was just so stuck to doing.
well, I'm sure that you see music differently than what we
I was about
would.
to say, yeah, you see it completely 360 from
Yeah, because I mean, you do it so much, you get bored. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like at a certain point, it becomes insert rap here, insert rap here, and it's like, damn, how much more of this can I really stand? It's
Well,
like,
you're an artist. You're trying to create more than
mhm.
because okay, Dope House Records is puro gangster music, right? Puro, I mean, for the majority of it, right?
In a sense, it was hood.
Yeah, I would
I
say
mean,
it was hood. I wouldn't say it was specifically gangster.
Yeah, it was different. So
Yeah.
like whenever in that era, Houston was booming.
Mm.
Everything was coming out of Houston, like in the 2000s.
The 99 2000.
Yeah, everything was just popping in Houston. You had all these artists. You had DJ Screw. You just had all this immense music just coming out
Mm-hmm.
that was catching everybody's attention, and it sounded a certain way. I wouldn't say that it sounded gangster, but it was hood.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just regular hood. It was the South.
Yeah.
That's the only real way I can explain it. It was
Right.
the South.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had New York hood, you had West Coast hoods,
Yeah.
and each one sounded differently from the other.
Yeah.
But then when you would hear a Texas rapper, you're like, oh, he's from Texas.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying because I had every gangster I knew I would be bumping to like you guys SPM and all that, and that's what I'm saying. To me, it was like that's what I thought it was mostly gangster music, but
I would say it was more music intended to be relatable. But yeah, I mean, you have to, especially back then, you have to incorporate that hard stuff too, like the gangster stuff. You have to incorporate it. But especially with Dope House, I feel like Carlos was already on this kick where he knew he had to be the representation of other Hispanics.
yeah,
So yeah, he would put the gangster stuff in there, but also a lot of it would just be, him talking about the struggles of, what we would go through,
right,
talking about being a Hispanic in Houston, in Texas, or even just in the country itself.
right.
You know what I mean? Like he would talk about those things because otherwise nobody else did.
Hmm.
You know
No,
what I'm
you're
saying?
right.
Nobody else
No,
did at
I
that
mean,
time
even
either.
now, I don't know if you know, ¿qué está pasando over there in Japan? Like now, those people over there, they're trashing like with the Dickies and they're taking that whole.
Yeah, no, what Japan, they're unique in that sense. Japan has all kinds of different subcultures,
Right.
right? So yeah, what you're saying is true. They do have people in the subculture that kind of mimic the Hispanic culture,
Right.
but they also have people that mimic this culture and that culture. While
That-
it's not their own,
Yeah.
they don't see it as
What is it?
uh
Biting the style or
yeah, they don't see it as they're biting anybody's
They
style.
don't see it as cultural
Cultural
appropriation.
appropriation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they to them it's like
drink.
they're gravitating towards something that and paying homage towards something. Like if for them it's they're showing respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hey, shout out to the homies in Japan, man.
Yeah.
Much love to y'all guys.
so
Gracias.
I mean it's crazy if you really go down that rabbit hole of the different subcultures that are in Japan.
Yeah.
Like you'll find some wow stuff. You find all the emos.
Yeah, because I started
you
seeing
find
that.
the
I saw it not too long
gothics.
ago where it was like I see them with the Lokes, the Dickies, you
They
know.
got 6'4s in Japan now. Yeah.
Hey, I bet you there's a group of Japanese people out there riding swangers too.
Oh, I'm
They
sure
are,
they are.
they
No,
are.
I've seen that
I
too.
seen
Like I've
that.
seen it where
Yeah.
there was a girl, and she was in a caddy. It was all pink with some swangers, and she had a grill. I was like, oh shit.
I don't know,
like,
man. I was in love for Sasuke.
Mm.
I'm gonna risk it.
but no, that's one thing about Japan is that they go with what they feel.
Yeah.
If they feel like they want to be this, they're gonna fucking be it. And
Mhm.
I think Japan is just so used to their people being different.
Yeah. And then I feel like they're so highly populated, right? Like there's so many people within a given space there. It's so congested that it's not out of the normal to see a specific group of people. Like you might see some people like for us, you know, we so spread out down here in Texas. If we saw a group of people walking by and they look different,
Mm.
we'd probably be like, what type of shit are they on?
I said
Yeah.
that.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
over there, like they're just so congested. They find people easily that look how they do and you know
Yeah.
have the same opinions on the cultures as they do. You know, they link up together, and then the other people link up with the same like-minded people as them, and then you get all these different subcultures right next to each other, and it's not weird to any of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To them, it's just like, hey man, we're all here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I got somebody to chill with. That's what they get from
they got
it.
their little gang of friends.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they started doing the same tattoos también with the whole English letters. I mean, I love it. I'm all for it. Hey guys, I mean, I feel like it's badass, you know,
Yeah.
because who else is doing it? No,
Yeah.
just them.
Nah, it's really cool to see that too. Like being an outsider looking in at somebody else, it's
It's cool to see the inspiration, you know?
yeah. It's like, dang, they did that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You look at how they put their car together, like, dang, if that car was here, ooh, they'd be
Yeah,
killing
exactly.
And the fucked up thing is that they don't have those over there, so they
Mhm.
put a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
get 'em
effort into
imported over
getting it
there,
over there.
yeah.
You know, whether they got it all together in one piece or not, you know, they put some
Mhm.
fucking effort and money into getting that shit over there.
it. Yup.
So if you see me with a chinita, mind your business.
They already think you're a chino, bro.
I'm
So
gonna be, hey, Sasuke, man, the head over there. Well, I also wanted to ask you this because I think one of the guys I saw one of the dude, I forgot his name, but being signed to somebody, is that important to? Like, I said, does it matter who you're signed to?
because you did a lot of independent stuff too, right?
Yeah, no, everything I've done is independent for the most part. Even the stuff I did with Dope House was independent. Like SPM was signed to a major label, not Dope House. So it's one thing to have an artist deal with a major. It's another thing to have a company deal, right? So I've never been involved with a major. So everything I've done has always been independent. But for the most part of my career, I've always been close to someone. I've been a part of different movements. I'll say, like, for instance, when I first started my thing, I was part of the whole Dope House thing, and once I left that, I started running around with Chingo, and Chingo had this whole thing jumping, and after that, I started running around with. Now I'm running around with GT Garza, and Garza's got this whole thing going. You know what I'm saying? So, I've always been a part of different movements, but always independent.
Okay.
And it's not something that I do to where I feel like whoever's got something going on, I want to attach myself to that. This is more a sense of I've been doing this for so long. I've developed relationships with so many people. And say, for instance, when I started running around with Chingo, me and Chingo was already cool. He started propelling to the level to where he could start helping other people out, you know? And so he reached out to me like, hey, I got this shit jumping. Roll with it. All right, bet. So I started running with Chingo. Same thing with Garza. Me and Garza known each other forever. Garza hits me up. He's like, hey, man, I'm trying to put this play together. You know, I want to make this ultimate team, you know. If you want to get involved with it, just come through.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a matter of me telling people, hey, man, I see you got something going on. Let me be a part of it.
Yeah.
Nah, this is all just like love. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because I've been doing this forever.
You bring something to the team. That's
yeah,
why
people recognize me for being who I am, not sounding like the next person.
Right.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like,
definitely don't sound like anybody else.
yeah.
You know?
So, shoot, I'm happy to be a part of everything I've been a part of.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like in a lot of ways, I've helped build these little stepping stones, whether they be insignificant or they be major factors to what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, shoot, running around with Chingo, I was on one of the singles for his major release album. You know, we did a song called Do It.
I remember that.
That got pushed everywhere, you know what I'm saying? And
I know. Okay.
yeah, and that song, even that song, Chingo's album was already done, turned in. We were in Austin just chilling, me and Chingo. We were at, I forget the dude's name, but he's the dude that produced the beat. We were at that dude's apartment for like a week, just hanging out, creating. And we made the song Do It. Chingo showed it to the people at Atlantic. Atlantic was like, that's the single that needs to be pushed. The album's already done. Pressed up, shipped. The album's getting ready to be out.
Yeah.
That song should have been on it. We're pushing that song. So stuff like that, you know, it's like it feels almost in a sense like destiny. Like these things are supposed to happen the way they do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's never a matter of, oh man, please let me just be a part of your crew. It's never that. It's just always, man, we link up the way we link up, and we make cool
shit
stuff
happen.
happen. You know
What
what I'm
happened,
saying?
happened.
Yeah.
Nothing, yeah.
So how was it working with Chingo? Because you know Chingo Blink in himself, is just a personality. You know,
You're right.
like how was it working with him just in general?
Was it fun all the time?
Yeah, no, Chingo.
Because he had a lot of stuff going on. He had the Mañosa stuff going on.
Yeah.
He had he had a lot of crazy shit he was invested in.
He still is a smart person. Like, he masterminded a lot of different plays.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, wasn't nobody doing bobbleheads. Chingo came out with them. Wasn't nobody doing them DVDs like that. Chingo came out with them. You know, he was one of the first to really jump in heavy on the mixtape circuit. Like, yeah, we was all trying to do some mixtapes here and there, but he had like volumes
yeah.
of
He had
mixtapes.
classics. to his
Yeah.
mixtapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he was really pumping that stuff. So he was very smart, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do business wise. But that's not to say that behind closed doors, he was just like some nerd that's just tuned into making these things happen. Like, nah, yeah, he plays a character, but his humor comes out at all times. Like, even just watching him do some basic stuff behind the computer, he might be editing something, but he's cracking jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's funny. You sit there with him. It could be anybody else is sitting there, you fall straight to sleep because it's so boring.
Right.
Chingo sitting there doing it, oh man, you will die laughing because he's just talking shit.
I bet, man.
Yeah, it's just the funnest thing. Going out on the road with him, just it was. He's a character, but it's like the apple don't fall far from the tree. Like that's really him.
Right.
That's just him in general. Like,
yeah,
just the character's something else, but he's still that same
right.
person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I always figured Chingo's probably somewhat like that. I mean, a lot of people don't like him now just because of his political stance,
Yeah, he
and
got
how
real political.
he got real political with everything. I mean,
Yeah.
but at the same point, at some certain point in time, you have to see other shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if anything,
And-
he showed that he cares. you know
Yeah,
what I'm
and
saying?
even at that, even before he got real political, he was still giving you a certain message.
yeah,
He was still telling you something. I mean, it might have been in this form of a joke or in a song, but if you listen to the words, he was still saying some shit.
yeah, like even his album that came to Port, even the name of the album that came to Port is all.
Yeah, it has something to say.
Yeah, I mean, for most people that know him as the character that he was, it was like, oh, that's right in line with his crazy ass. They came to Port is all. Yep, that's Chingo, all right. But when you step away from it and you think about that, they came to Port is all. What is that saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like try us, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So that in itself was a statement.
Yeah, he's always been making statements. Like I said, he's always been a comedic artist, but like he'll throw that one song in there that's serious as shit,
Yeah.
or he'll have that one lyric that's like, oh damn, that's some real shit right there.
Yep.
Chingo always had a way to do that, and that's another thing with you too is that like with every rhyme that you ever put out, unless you're talking about slapping little kids in the head, every other rhyme that you've ever put out, you had a message with it. Like you put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah. Somebody once told me, okay, so this is a little weird because I just got done saying this in a different podcast.
Yeah.
But I had a conversation with somebody one time, one of the engineers at Dope House. I was recording a song, and sometimes I would go back and forth. Sometimes I would talk about the flashy, balling stuff that everybody else in Houston was talking about. But other times I would write like these really introspective songs. I would write about topics that a lot of people can relate to. And it was on this occasion that I was in the studio at the Dope House, and I recorded this song. It was really heartfelt. And the engineer, after the song was done, he said, "This is the type of song that connects with people. If you make 100 more like this, you'll have fans forever." Versus the other stuff, the balling stuff, that's cool. Like
It's
people,
catchy.
yeah, people
whatever.
listen to it when it comes on or whatever. But once it's over, they're on to the next thing. But if you can grab somebody with these things that you're showing that you can relate to what they're going through, or they can see your music as an escape, or just see your music as knowing that someone else understands what they're going through, their problems, their troubles.
Yeah.
If you can connect with people like that, you'll have them forever.
That's true.
And that made so much sense to me. So I always try to, even to this day, I always try to still make sure I talk to the people. I can do whatever types of music I want to do, I'll do those. But my project, I need to at least address what people go through at least once.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure I keep that connection.
You gotta have that life perspective in there every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you did that with a lot of your songs, like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be throwing some of that flashy shit in there, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh damn, that's
Yeah, but that's where it comes
Yeah.
from. It all comes from that conversation that I had at that one night at the studio, where it was like that eureka moment, where it's like, man, if you can connect with these people on this scale, you'll have them forever. And so I've always implement that.
So how was it? You do a lot of stuff with Lucky Luciano.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's a Christian man now.
Right.
He's he's changing his life a little bit.
Yeah.
How was it working with before the Christian? Like
Oh man, it
because
was.
I know he was wild. He was real wild.
It was nearly impossible to work with him. I wouldn't say nearly it was difficult to work with him. Only in the sense that you never knew who he was going to be on any given day. But he was at the studio just as much as I was. Like, I was there every day. He was there every day. It's not like I couldn't just literally walk into a room and do a song with him. That could happen at any time, any given day. We could, in 2 weeks, we'll have 14 songs. But because of his personality and how wild he was, you never knew who was behind the door in that room. He might have been calm one day. The next day he might have just been through the roof with his whole "hold up, baby," doing all that stuff. Some days he might be drunk out of his mind. Some days he might be super high. You never knew. And for me, like I'm much more of a reserved person. Like I like normalcy. I like things to be the way I expect them to be. I couldn't get that out of him. So more often than not, I would just kind of, stay away. But like then it got to the point to where all of the stuff in the studio is done. Now we got to hit the road. Now I'm on the road with Lucky. We in the same vehicle for hours. Ain't no escaping him. So whoever he is that day,
that's who you got to deal with.
That's
the whole
who I got to
day.
deal with. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth about touring. Not about him, but about touring. Because it's like every time I got a tour list, I was like, oh man, this is going to be horrible. This trip is 13 hours. Oh man, I hope Lucky's cool on that day.
You're like, man, I hope he's chill today.
Yeah. And that, going from that to who he is now, is like, if he would have been this person back then the whole time, I think he and I probably would have had a million projects together.
Yeah.
But just because he was so crazy, man, I had to keep my distance from him because he was nuts.
Yeah, I was listening to a story he was telling where he flipped a car, or he stole a
Eddie DeVille's
Suburban, right? Tahoe, yeah.
Yep.
And they flipped it going to Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it looked like he was on some crazy shit. Like he was just wilding out.
And that wasn't out of the ordinary for him. Like I remember we was at the Dope House one time. We were just hanging out. He seemed on this particular night. He seemed cool. We were outside sitting on the dock, just like how this chair is right there. I was on a chair. He was on a chair. Somebody else sitting right there. We had some music playing outside. Wasn't nobody really saying too much or nothing. We were just hanging. Then out of nowhere, Lucky was like, "Hey, you want to see something you never seen before?" Like,
You're like,
what are you talking about? Lucky gets up out of his seat, walks down the steps of the dock to the parking lot, hops in his Escalade, throws it in reverse, backs out of the gate of the Dope House. Now, the Dope House is situated right next to a train track.
Yeah.
So the street dead ends, and there's like one of those, like a barricade.
Yeah.
So he backs out. now he's on the street and he's facing the railroad tracks. And he just turns the music in his Escalade all the way up, goes to the end of the street, and then just floors it towards the dead end. And he's swinging his Escalade the whole way, runs it right through the barricade.
What
And we're
the
like,
fuck?
what are you doing? Puts it in reverse, pulls it back into the gate, parks it, hops out, sits right back in his seat.
Just because he wanted to.
Yeah.
No, all right.
Is everybody like, what the?
Yeah, that was my reaction. Like, bro, why did you do that? He was like, oh man, you ain't never seen nobody run through one of them things, huh? I was like, no.
I have now. I have now.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you never knew what was gonna happen with him.
So he was wild and wild.
Wild.
Yeah, I would have done the same
For
thing.
no reason, he did stuff like that.
Keep the distance.
Mm-mm.
And you did a lot of projects with him, so you were around him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did all the North projects with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how was that experience working with him and Stunner?
He was still crazy at the time when we were doing the North stuff, but what was unique about that situation is we recorded those projects at Eddie DeVille's house. So whereas before we're recording everything at the Dope House, and the Dope House is like free for all, you do what you want, basically. And Eddie DeVille's house is more like, we respect that you live here type of thing.
Yeah. So y'all were more chill there.
Yeah. So that made it easier. But outside of that, he was still that guy. You know, outside of those walls, he was still that guy. He would just tone it down whenever he would be at Eddie's house. Yeah, it wasn't until way later that he started calming down.
Yeah, because I've heard the majority of all his music, and I always wondered. I'm like, man, is this fool really that fucking wild? You just answered that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the first time anybody ever even mentioned him to me, they were like, man, have you heard of this rapper named Lucky? I was like, nah, I ain't never heard of him. Who is he? Like, oh yeah, he be rapping like he's balling and this and that. But man, my homegirl knows him, and she be telling me that he be talking to her like a little baby and stuff like that. And I'm like, what, for real? Dang, that's stupid. Then I meet Lucky, and no. Lucky, he would talk to girls like a pimp would talk to a hoe.
No
Like,
shit.
yeah, like he would dog chicks out, like bad. It didn't matter if he knew them. It didn't matter if a girl was standing with the most swollest dude that could whoop his ass. If he wanted to talk crazy, he would just do it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, nah, that guy. But like I said, I'm happy with where his life has turned and who he is now. Because it could have got real bad for him in a lot of instances.
Yeah, you know, he wrote a song about STDs. Yeah, baddest bitch I ever met.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, he wrote a song about how he caught STDs like 3 times.
Did he really?
Yeah, he caught the clap a couple times.
Yeah.
So what's in the future for you, man? Like what's the future looking like for you?
So recently I put out a EP called V, and that was the intentions of that was to show movement, right? Because before that I hadn't really put out a solo project since February 2018.
Yeah.
Was the last time I put out a solo project. So this V project was just to show movement that I'm doing stuff now. But after this, the next thing is another project with Garza and Buns, with La Máquina. A couple of years back, we did the Platoon Season 1, which was just like a compilation, like an in-house compilation. And so we're going to do a part 2 to that. And the object of that is just to show people once again that we're active, that, you know, we're not dying down. You know, we finna hit people upside the head with some more stuff. And off of the strength of that, then I've got another album just completely ready to go, Beautiful Monsters.
Ooh.
So yeah, it should be a lot of movement in the next year coming up.
I can't wait, man. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited
man.
about the Beautiful Monster
I know,
because I've
me
been
too.
hearing about that one for a while.
Yeah, Beautiful Monsters is I think people will like it. So
So is it,
the
it
contrast of Beautiful Monsters, well, coming off of this VEP that I did where it was 100% singing. Beautiful Monsters is a project it's got singing on it, but it's more leaning towards everything rap. So this is gonna provide that contrast to where, I hate for people to expect something from me.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I like to change things up like that. I might give you one thing that sounds like this go round, but the next time it's gonna sound like this. And I feel like doing that keeps me fresh. You know, it leaves people to where they don't know what to expect when I drop.
Right.
And so that's really the play. Did the whole R&B thing. Now this thing is just gonna be rap, 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 rap. Mm-hmm.
The hard lyrics.
Yep.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear.
Yep.
I'm a fan of the singing, but the hard raps, that's what I like.
I
I like both.
yeah, I'm just into all of it, man.
I like the more conscious stuff. Like I like hearing stories and just shit that makes sense.
Right.
Like I can, like you said, you could talk all this balling shit at any given time, and it's catchy, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, what sticks with you is that shit that makes you relate to that person.
Yeah, and not only trying to stick with people in a sense that you're relating to them, it's also wanting to make quality music, right? So I also had a conversation with the same person actually at the studio that told me to make stuff that's relatable. But he also told me once, he said, when you make music that reaches people in a certain way, they'll never forget you. You don't have to jump through as many hoops as someone else might if you can create the right type of music.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, if you think about it, and this is back when CDs were a thing. He said, if you think about it, you go to somebody's house and most of them will have the same CD in their collection. And it'll be an artist, let's say Prince, for instance.
Yeah.
You'll see in most households, they have a Prince album,
Yeah.
whether they play it every day or not.
Or Mike.
Yeah, or Michael Jackson. But Prince doesn't have to tour every year, every season. Like Prince could have, at the time, he could literally just stop his whole career and his catalog would keep moving because he generated that type of music to where people just thought so highly of it. And I always look at things like that. Like, okay, if that's the way it is, well, for one, I don't like touring at all.
No?
No, I'm extremely introverted. I just want to stay in. I don't want to be around large groups of people.
Yeah.
That stuff gives me anxiety. So I don't even like doing that stuff. So if I can start things off to where I'm positioning myself to where I can be that type of artist that don't have to tour all the time, hell yeah. That
That's what
sounds
you wanna do,
gravy.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's something that crosses my mind too. Like, okay, number one, I want to create something that's gonna connect with people, show people that I feel the same way they do.
Right.
But also I wanted to deliver it in a package to where it's just that superior sound that they can only get from me, to where if I was to walk into somebody's house, I'm that artist that's in their collection. That's what I strive for.
You know, it's funny that my sister owned a CD store
Mm.
back in days, and she sold nothing but Spanish CDs. And I remember I was like 14 years old, and I walked in there, see all the. She started getting more Mexican rappers, you know. And then I remember seeing, you know, all the SPM stuff. Then you got all the low G stuff, and then, you know, little by little you start seeing more and more. I remember going in there and actually buying uh Thinking Out Loud too
Man,
from a fucking CD store.
yeah.
Cause I was just like, oh, this, cause you know I would go in there get all the SPM ones, you know, I get them cheap cause she gave me a discount, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember I'd go in there and I get like 5, 6 CDs. My fucking CD case was big, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember I got a couple Lucky mixtapes, you know, and then I got the Thinking Out Loud, and I remember I had that, and I had it recently, maybe like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and then they stole them. Like I left my Suburban unlocked, and all those CDs gone. It was like this big. It was a fucking big ass case.
Hey man, it's still to this day some people that cannot get away from that medium of CDs. Like when I put out a project now, it goes straight to iTunes and
Yeah.
streaming
Yeah.
and all that. I still get people to hit me up. Hey, are you gonna press up CDs for that? No.
You're like, nah.
Why?
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I never
just
put one of those
download it or
CDs
something.
inside of my car because I had an old Suburban, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never put one of them hoes in that fucking CD player because everything's in my phone, you know.
Yeah.
Connects Bluetooth, it plays all my music, you know.
Mhm.
But I had it there, and it just stayed there, you know, and it was there for like years, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember having the album covers inside of the cover, so you see the album cover before you get the CD out.
Yep.
And I remember having that Thinking That Loud too on there, which is cool as shit. Which I wish I still had. That way I could have got you to sign it.
I might have a
dope.
copy floating around at the house. I
Want
might
a
have
shirt?
one I could send you.
Should have a shirt made.
Shit, if you got one, bro, I will take that shit because
Yeah.
that is some dope shit to like just have in general.
Yeah, I look around. If anything, I know I got posters from Thinking Out Loud too.
Hell yeah, let me know.
I definitely take one.
I'll take
I
one.
definitely. Yeah, like I said, when I didn't know, man. Like when he showed me the song, like, oh, dude, I didn't know that was you. And I was just like, my mind was freaking out. Like, oh, that's him.
Mm.
Trying to play cool right now. I mean, cameras on. You can,
Yeah, no, I mean, I was never the type that wanted all the attention. You know what I mean?
you don't
Like,
seem that way. You just seem like you said, just very legit, calm.
yeah, I was never the one that wanted to jump in front of a camera and be like, look at me, look at me.
You weren't lucky.
Yeah, make sure you remember my name. I was never that person.
Yeah.
You know, I started doing music because I liked it. I wanted to be an artist because I liked creating music, not because everybody else thought being an artist was a cool thing to do. The first time I wrote a song, I didn't know anybody else that rapped. I was 8 years old. Nobody else talked like I want to be a rapper. I did.
Yeah.
Everybody else was on their 8-year-old shit. I want to be a fireman and this and that. I want to be a rapper.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. And it's not until decades later, now everybody's a rapper because you can go to Best Buy and buy a microphone and a computer and plug them up and rap on it.
Yeah.
That was not the case when I was trying to form this thing that I got going.
Yeah, and you don't even have to hustle like you did before.
Yeah.
Now you just put that out there on the internet. It does all the work for you.
Yeah, but I say all that just to say that it for me, it was never about being famous. For me, it was never about just making sure that somebody asks, who is that, when my name gets brought up.
Yeah.
It's not even a thought to me. It's like, I want to make the music that I make. I'm not going to force it on nobody. I want to connect with the people that get it. And in me and that group of people, hey, man, we going to be lovely.
Exactly.
If it grows into this big thing, perfect. If not, at least I know somebody rocks with me. And that's the way it's just been. I don't care about having the biggest notoriety. None of that.
You just wanted
Actually,
to do what you wanted to do.
Sometimes I actually run from that type of thing.
Mm.
Like I said, I'm such an introvert. I don't want to be around people. I want to be left alone a lot of times. And from that mentality, that's probably why my name isn't as or bigger than what people think it should be. Because it just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, you didn't have that standout personality like everybody else did. Like the Chingos and the Luckies.
Right. Yeah.
You was always more just a musician. You
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to do the music,
Yep.
which is respectable too because you did what you did. And I'm not gonna lie, like whenever you were on certain tracks, I feel like you were trying to murder that fucking track.
That's always the goal.
Yeah, I feel like you were trying to murder that
That's
track.
always the goal. Even the younger me, uh, priority number one was to murder whoever else was on the song. Priority number two was to murder the song itself.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the younger me. But now it's more towards, like I said, I have the maturity and like I've studied different artists and how they create, and so now with all this information and wisdom and experience, and now it's like I'm gonna murder some shit, but it's gonna be done in a completely different approach. Like I'm gonna murder some shit. I might spit some super dope shit, but the purpose of it is to benefit the song in its entirety, not because I want to attack whoever else is on the song. Not because I
Before
want
it
to
was just
have the
pride. Yeah.
standout song. It's none of that. It's just I want to make the song sound the best that it can. If this is a boom bap beat, okay, I know what you're supposed to do on a boom bap beat. You're just supposed to wreck. But if this is something that's got more melody to it, more pulling at the emotional strings, then it's like, all right, I got to approach this a different way. And now I have to, don't necessarily have to sing on it, but there's a delicate way to do this dance that makes sense and
Yeah.
still create just a great piece of music.
Like putting puzzle pieces together. You just got to find the right piece that fits in.
Yep. Yep.
So we always do this with every rapper. Like, what would be your top 5?
Top 5 rappers.
Living or dead?
And podcasters.
Top 5 podcasters.
No, I say, hey, I mean, you want to have podcasters too.
Oh.
Cancel show.
Cancel show.
Mm.
Number 1.
Okay, let me see. Let me try to formulate this top 5 rappers. I would say number 1 would be Big Pun.
Big Pun. I like that one.
Big Pun, then Jodeci,
I never actually heard Jodeci.
then Biggie,
Oh,
Big Papa.
how long were you going?
Big Pun, Jodeci, Biggie. I don't want to add Tupac, but I want to. I think Tupac should be the 5th, not the 4th. Oh shit! Who could I put at number 4? Nah, I'll put Tupac at number 4. Whatever. Number 5 would be GT Garza.
GT Garza.
Yeah, that would be my top 5.
Definitely. So what I noticed about your top 5 is that you pick guys that were super fucking lyrical. With Big Pun, Biggie, Jadakiss. You're talking about 3 of the most lyrical fucking dudes ever. Like that's I mean, it fits your style. One of your many styles.
Yeah. Well, all right. So when I first, if we go back and revisit the Murderholics thing, and I was talking about the flashy ball and stuff. It's really because I had only been exposed to what everybody else in my neighborhood was listening to, and we were listening to Swisher House, We were listening to Cash Money music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were listening
Hot boys.
to down south stuff.
Yeah.
And so that reflected in my music. When I got to the dope house and I started hanging around Quota from the Twin Berettas, he listened to more East Coast stuff I had never heard before. I didn't know people put words together like that before. And this is at a time where I'm already mature enough to know that this is something that I actually need to pay attention to, because it made me feel dumb almost, to where everything I thought I knew about was dope in music was almost child's play, because these other artists were spitting their asses off.
Yeah.
And it was from that my sound started changing a little bit. Then I started rapping a little bit different once I started studying these, like especially the East Coast guys, Big Pun and Biggie and all of them. I started studying that stuff and getting away from the I done came down type shit. Then things really started getting interesting for me. I really started paying a lot more attention to wordplay, how to put words together, and then incorporating that into my sound. And all of that gets, thrown into the pot. Still with the Swisher House, still with the Cash Money sounds, still with the Jodeci sounds. Throw it all in the pot.
Now let's mix it up. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the way of thinking. That he's just like, we're gonna throw all these different styles and we're gonna see what comes out.
Yeah, but Big Pun is my favorite shit.
Oh yeah, I fuck with Big Pun a lot.
Yeah, that dude, he puts words together like,
Yeah, he was real good.
yeah.
Yeah, he was just flowing like crazy. And it was word after word after word, just nonstop going.
Everything rhyming and everything making so much sense, just like super hard.
And it's just fucking crazy too, because I'm like the whole time, like, man, this dude's got to stop and take a breath somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And now he just kept going and going and going.
Nah, if you listen to his, like, especially some of his underground stuff, like, we can, as artists in the studio, we can record something and we can grab that one breath that we took.
Take it out.
We can take it out, or we can like lower it, the volume of it, where everything else still sounds how it's supposed to, but that breath will kind of like draw attention away from it.
Yeah.
If you listen to some of Pun's earlier underground stuff, like he was snarling whenever he was taking a breath. Like, yeah, like you could hear all of that. And I mean, shit, you just had to know, like, he's a big dude.
Yeah, he was a big boy.
But he was going in. Yes. Big Pun is one of the greatest.
Yeah, Big Pun was just.
And that's not saying that just because he was a Latin artist and I'm a Latin dude. Nah. He could be any color. Big Pun, the way he put words together, I ain't heard nobody else do.
Yeah, nobody else could do it like him.
Eminem got his own thing too, but Big Pun, nobody done it like him.
I think the only one that was kind of similar to him would be those other two guys, Jadakiss and Biggie.
Yeah.
They had the way of putting words together that was similar to Big Pun's, but Big Pun's just stood out.
Yeah. No.
Because Big Pun would not only would he put words together, he'd put sounds in there. He'd put like when he's telling you, he would tell you a fucking story and just make it so fucking vivid that it was just crazy.
Yep.
This Big Pun is. I like to see him as one of the. I like to think of rappers as storytellers.
Right.
Like that's how I like to view music. You know, if you can tell a story and I can see the fucking story, then I fuck with it, you know? And there were songs that Big Pun, Biggie, Jadakiss, songs that they dropped where you could like damn near see the shit, you know?
Right.
You can envision it.
And it's also good to know the difference between an MC and a rapper.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you think of MC, like, Pun was an MC. MC is a wordsmith. Like, he's crafting everything. He's essentially putting on a show with his just acrobatic lyrics. Biggie was an MC. Tupac, on the other hand, was a rapper. Tupac wasn't about the style of his delivery, the style of how he presented his lyrics.
Yeah.
He was more about what is being said in general. You know, most of his songs he had the same delivery.
Yeah,
He
he had the
rapped the
same
same kind of
sound. Yeah,
way.
Yeah.
You know, but it was more about what he was saying. And that made him that to me, Tupac is the best rapper.
Right.
But he's not number one on my list because I hold an MC at a much higher level.
and like I said too, like Tupac is one of those that I see that's one of the best storytellers ever
Mm-hmm.
because he can deliver a message that'll hit you, and you'd be like, with Dear Mama,
Yep.
songs like that, and you feel it. Those are the songs that you fucking feel.
Well, you
Yeah.
get it with emotions. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. Some people rap and Pac would be like, really want you to feel that.
Yeah, he did it
Yeah.
with a lot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And that and for me that's what always gets me. Like if I can comprehend somebody's rhyme and just feel their emotions, I fuck with it. Like I was telling you when we were outside, whenever I heard Indigo Sky, that's a song that just stuck with me. And even
Right.
till this day, bro, I bumped the shit out of that song. Like that for me is one of my favorites, hands down.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah. That and well, I was about to say Indigo Sky. That was more of me showcasing rap. I think I was singing on that song if
Yeah,
memory serves
the
me
hook.
correct.
You started off singing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you started off singing.
Yeah.
You did a little bit of both.
Okay. Yeah, no, and so I guess going back to MC versus rapper, if Pun to me is the greatest MC that ever lived, Tupac to me was the greatest rapper that ever lived. Can there be an in between?
I'm sure there can. Because you had guys that were doing a little bit of both.
Well, I like to think that that's maybe where I strive to be
Yeah.
because I'm not always just trying to throw as many words out as I can. Sometimes I do. Just try to spit 100 words in one bar. Sometimes I do. But other times it's just about making you feel something. That's where the rapper comes out.
Yeah.
Or if I sing the first half of a verse and then it goes into rapping, maybe that's me trying to find this happy place in between rapper, MC, and singer.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's a space that needs to be created. Maybe there needs to be a name for that. To where who's your top 5 rappers? Who's your top 5 MCs? Who's your top 5 whatever this is called?
Oh, good one.
You know? Could be
So-
something to that.
So what is your favorite verse that you've ever said, written? And can you give us that verse?
No, we gotta pay him.
We gotta pay him.
You gotta pay him. No free verse. I got you, bro.
I don't have one.
You don't ever have something you said that you were just like, this is fucking the dopest thing I've ever said.
We don't love them hoes.
Snoop.
Oh, that's my favorite saying.
I think one of my favorite lines I ever did, I didn't even put on anything. I remember writing it, and I remember wanting to put it on something, and it always stayed with me. And this goes back to the Dope House. I said, let me see if I can remember how it's worded. I said something like, if y'all could see my atmosphere, the first thing asked would be what happened here. Most of y'all couldn't last in here unless y'all can adapt to fear. And I thought that was the hardest shit ever.
That is dope.
Yeah. If y'all could see my atmosphere, most of y'all wouldn't last in here. If y'all could see my atmosphere, the first thing asked is what happened here. Most of y'all couldn't last in here unless y'all can adapt to fear. Yeah, and for me, especially coming from where I came from, you know, uh, little dirty Mexican neighborhood in Houston, it's like people ain't really supposed to make it out of that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the people that live there because they've grown accustomed to things being the way that they are. They've they've adapted to what most people would find fearful.
It's just
People,
the everyday normal to them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, that was one of those lines where I was like, oh man, I can't wait to use this. And I don't think I ever did use it.
Hey man, now you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still there.
Yeah. I never forgot that damn line.
So one day, bro, whenever you sitting there writing, you gonna remember that. You gonna think about us, cause you be like, you know what, I said this in this show.
You know, on the cancel show.
Like, he gonna forget about it as soon as he walks out the door. He gonna be like,
Yeah, I said
I don't remember them names.
Them two idiots. What was his name?
That Asian guy and that Mexican guy.
And with the Japanese girlfriend.
Yeah,
La China,
the one that has a thing for the chinas.
La Chinitas. La Chola Chinitas.
Cholas.
Cholas. Come on, mija. With that being said, anything else?
None, man. Thank you for coming. I know you had, a lot of stuff going on. Thank you for making time in that busy schedule.
Absolutely.
Big fan. Appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Looking
So am
forward
I,
to
man.
Appreciate you.
everything else you fixing to drop later. If y'all don't know now, go listen to V.
Yeah, listen to V. Beautiful Monsters coming soon.
Yeah, and then fuck with us whenever you come back, bro. Let us know.
No doubt.
You got a show here in Fort Worth? Let us know, bro. We'd love to come out there and just shoot some shit with you, bro.
Already.
Because that's another thing we actually wanted to do. Like, if you're okay with it, let us see your process into making a song. Like that's something that I personally would like to record because
Same.
it gives us the insight of what it takes to make a song from
Right.
beginning to end, and it captures a moment to where you're doing something creative.
People think it's easy. Like, oh, you just write your lyrics and that's it.
No,
I
it's
just get in there.
a lot of soul searching that goes into it.
So if you were ever be willing to, shit, I'll go to Houston to record that.
Hey, same.
Right on.
Let us know, man. We'll be more than happy to do that.
Already.
You got anything?
Thank you so much, man. It's been a great. Thanks to my boy over here, Jay. My broski. Hey, where can they find you at, man?
I'm Cassettecoast on everything. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. Cassettecoast.
All right, thank y'all for listening. Catch us on the next Cancer Show. Peace.